networking is building relationships and having relationships over a long time, so that when you ask a favor, folks are happy to say yes. And I'm fortunate to say that at least in two situations it's worked, because I've got Pat Flynn here with us, who's with Keller Williams up in the Northern Virginia area. He started in the business with me back in the day at Long and Foster, and Kate Ryan, who has been in the business quite some time. She's a UVA grad as well, nursing grad from UVA, and she has been the person that my family has entrusted. When Pat was working with me at Long and Foster and we were selling my parents' house, I wasn't about to list it myself for sure, because I have 3 brothers and 2 sisters, and I just didn't want that hassle. And then I couldn't just pick one person out of however many people in the office, and so I went outside the office, and the one person that I would ask outside the office was Kate, and she just did a phenomenal job with my mom and dad, who were both unique creatures and human beings, and I miss them every day. But anyway, as we've been talking over these last couple of weeks, we've been talking about this whole aspect of building your net worth through your network. And a number of you on this call have been in some way or another involved with Buffini and Company. And Kate and Pat, just so you know, there's several people on the call already. I've created this little, what I call a Synergy group of younger agents. And so Colin Banks is with McInerney with John Wolford up in McLean, and Bubba Hutchinson is with Howard Hanna down in the Virginia Beach area. So we're grateful to have both of them on the call today. And then the rest of the folks are folks that I'm privileged to work with each and every day here at Roy Wheeler, including Vincent Zorn, who I don't know where he's in the top left on my screen, but he's our marketing guy and is doing a phenomenal job. And then Laura Webb is joining us right now, and she's an agent from down in the Lynchburg area. So we've been talking about this whole building your net worth through networking, and I asked Kate and Pat to take some time with us, and I sent them a few questions. And so why don't we just do this? Kate, why don't I let you go first? And just kind of introduce yourself, talk about how long you've been in the business, that kind of thing. And Pat, you can follow her, and you can, those 3 things that I sort of sent you all in regards to where I'd like to lead the conversation would be great. And then we'll open it up for questions and answers at the end. And I'm going to follow the chat. If you have a question or something that you want me to convey, just put it in the chat, and I will, I'll try to facilitate that as best as I can. So again, so grateful that Kate and Pat are with us. And Kate, I'll let you lead off. And Pat can go ahead.
Just one favor, Kate. Make sure you save some good ideas for me, please.
Indeed. Oh my gosh. First of all, thanks, Michael. It's a privilege to be with you all this morning.
And if she was here, she would want to hug each and every one of you, just like she just did, for sure.
Okay, so I'm married to a guy when COVID started, and he turned to me and he's like, I've been preparing for this my whole life. And I thought, well, that's kind of true, because like we go into a group and he's sort of the one that stands there, and I'm like the big ha 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 ha. So I just will say that those of us that are the big ha-has, it's hard. It is very hard for those of us who want to reach out and hug, and we can't. And so we're all learning new things. That's for damn sure. Oh, excuse me. That's for darn sure. Okay.
No, that's for damn sure.
That's for damn sure. I grew up within a family that we were not allowed to use bad words. We weren't even allowed to say shut the door. You had to say close it. You can't say shut the door. But every now and then there's a place for a little hell or a damn. Anyway, so thank you, Michael, for launching this whole thought about building business through expanding your network. And I think that also lets us think a little bit about transactional versus relational. So the 3 topics that Pat and I are going to touch on, one was if we were starting our business today, how would we go about doing that? The other one is how have we adapted and kept ourselves moving forward with COVID and doing things differently? And then lastly, some of the benefits of why it makes sense to build your business through referral in sort of from the long-term approach. So just starting with that first one, if I was starting business today, how I would go about it. So I think the first most important thing to do is to start with, like, who are you? Who am I? Who are you? Because you are your business. I am my business. And if I can understand who I am and how I go about life, then that's what's going to show up in my business. So, you know a great barber who has this awesome environment in their barbershop because the barber understands who they are and they understand their approach to life and how they listen, how they cut hair. I mean, it's all about being an awesome version of them that makes people want to come and sit in that chair and get shorn. Except for you, Pat, you don't need to worry about that. You can do it at home.
He's going to use a different analogy, Kate.
I guess so. You take a surgeon, I'm an OR nurse, but you take a surgeon, and surgeons are, they run the gamut. What you really want is somebody who's incredibly skilled and gifted and competent. It would be nice if they had a good caring side to them. Incredible competency can overcome bedside manner, but it's tough. And bedside manner cannot overcome competency in the long run. So that segues into what I think is the most important thing about starting your business is understanding the concept of habits, attitudes, and skills. And habits are those habits that you ingrain to make you do the things you need to do to become who you want to be. And attitude, of course, is your perspective on how you go through life, and then skills. So just quickly about habits. If you spent $100 million on a thoroughbred racehorse, you would make absolutely certain that they were well nourished and hydrated and got good exercise. Exercise for their brains. You probably play classical music in their stalls. You take them out and make sure that they ran, but not in the muck. You would do that for your thoroughbred racehorse. You are your thoroughbred. So make sure you have a practice. I do my morning time every morning, and the rare time that I don't, my day does not go well. But decide what works for you and care for you. Make sure you stay hydrated. Drink your water. Make sure you eat breakfast, even if it's a smoothie, a banana, it doesn't matter. But do the things you would do for your thoroughbred because that's who's going to show up. Then the next thing is is your attitude. And so, we talk about relational and transactional. I heard it once said that, transactional people, it's find them, fleece them, forget them. And I thought, gosh, that's kind of callous. And I thought, but I guess that's what it means to be transactional. I think it's, as I go through life, I realize it's different than that. I think most people who are in this business genuinely want to help other people. I don't think it's a find them, fleece them, forget them mentality. But I think the subtle, nuanced difference between relational and transactional is, I think in a relational attitude towards this business, you have to genuinely like people. You can't just genuinely want to work for them and serve them, which is a noble cause. I think you genuinely need to care about the people, not just genuinely want to care for them. And it's very subtle. So I think you need to spend a little bit of time and understand who you are and figure out, do you genuinely like people? Because if you don't, I'm going to say that maybe this is not the business to be in. Because I think you can do some work, but you will never achieve that flying carpet soaring joy if you don't genuinely care about your people. Caring for them and caring for their welfare is not enough when you want to reach these higher levels, which is where the good life lives. That's where your heart soars, your people grin. It's awesome. So I think you got to do that. And then I'm going to just touch on the skills and then over to you, Pat. Okay, so skills I think are hugely important. They're just so hugely important because information's everywhere. Everywhere. Nobody needs our help to find information. Most of my clients, I'm old. Okay. Most of my clients, I saw that, Pat, you just don't have this to do it. You're old too. Anyway, most of my clients can find information better than me. They can find it faster. They know how to find stuff on the internet better than me. I'm 30 years with Long and Foster. I've got some experience, but I'm not real technologically savvy. And the a lot part is, anyway. What I understand though is that skillful interpretation and skillful ability to discern allows you to provide some solid and exceptional guidance. And that takes skill. So I think you need an appreciation of that, because that's what our value is to give people good, solid guidance so they can make good decisions, so they don't wake up in the middle of the night out of breath and feeling like a sucker. That's, our fear of being ashamed or whatever. So I think that you have to hang around people who are skilled. You got to hang around people who are skilled. You need to listen to what skilled people say. You need to observe what skilled people do. And this listening and this observation, for me, has the training that I've had to give my own self is to do so without the intent of action, without the intent of what I'm going to say next, without the intent of what I'm going to do. It's just be open, listen, observe. And that's, in my opinion, the best way to learn skills is from our peers who are skilled in certain things. And then I think you have to have this tremendous courage to learn who you are, and then to be willing to reveal who you are, so that your clients will be willing to reveal who they are. Because when someone's willing to reveal who they are, then you can connect at the level of trust. And once you have that, when the other character qualities line up, that's when you have an ability to enrich a life, impact a life, influence a life. So just to reveal who you are, I told you, like I'm here and it's so interesting. So this is Zoom. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is a homemade haircut. This is my third homemade haircut of COVID. Hey, Michael. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And this one did not turn out so good. I'll just tell you, it's almost time for me to go back in and pop by my hair salon person, but I knew she's going to ask me to turn around and the back doesn't look so good. Anyway, I tell you that because part of being able to relate to people and them relating to you is you got to understand that we all, we are who we are, and that's okay. Okay.
Before I pass it off to Pat, you guys, we've been talking about this, that this is a journey, right? Mm. That for some of you, you're brand new in the business, and you want to be successful, and to be successful, crossing the T off of I can't, so you can be thinking I can, because you believe in yourself. And maybe you believe in yourself because you're new, because you've got a company around you, the peers that Kate's been talking about that can help you, that if you can go out and look for business, and if somebody has a question or presents something you're not familiar with, you've got people to process it with, right? But the example that I used the other day was any one of us, if we wanted to, could start tomorrow and walk to California. But that's a long way. And because it's a long way, we can immediately say, well, I can't get to California, it's too far away. But if I walk to Carsbrook Drive today, I'm that much closer to California tomorrow, right? And if I walk to 29, you get my point. It's about one step at a time. It's a journey. And Kate and Pat, what I've been talking to these folks about is this whole aspect on a journey, especially, my kids going to the beach. I mean, it looks like the Beverly Hillbillies in regards to the car and the stuff, and especially with Katie and Brendan, because he's a windsurfer, and that stuff's more important than the kids in the car to him. But the point being is, you need a big car, and what we've been talking about is the car being an SUV. And so just what Kate said, I just want to go back to that for a minute and then hand off to Pat. We, in this business, we need to study. That's the S, right? Study and learn everything we can. The more that we can be knowledgeable, the more we can be that person who interprets the data that Kate was talking about. The more we can learn in the situation of the study, and then the understanding. As we study and learn, we begin to have an understanding of the data, or what the people are trying to do, or the marketplace, which I want to talk about in regards to adapting in COVID. But the reason it reminded me of this is when Kate talked about being vulnerable. That's the V. You study, you learn, you understand, and then you become vulnerable to open yourself up so that people feel comfortable about opening themselves up to you. And some of you have heard me talk about this. Back in the day, even before Kate's time, in the business, and everything was initially with these books, these MLS books. That's what we used to know what was on the market. And then, whoa, we printed out on thermal paper the MLS, and I used to, cut them and whatever. I'd get in the car, and I literally, I'm not joking, but I hope it proves the point. I would pull out. It was my shtick, if you will. It was my system. I'd start to pull out, and I go, oh, wait a minute, and I'd pull back forward. One person in the front seat, one person in the back seat. And I'd stop and say, hey, I forgot to tell you, here are the things we're going to look at today. You need to understand that I have a master's in counselor education. I get counseling. And the one thing that I want you guys to do in this car is to just pretend like I'm not even here and process these houses as if I wasn't here. If that means you have to fight, that's okay. If that means one person, is going to be passive aggressive and the other one isn't, that's okay. I just need to hear all that so that I can help you. I can begin to see, okay, that house ain't going to work. I mean, even though that one person really likes it, that other person is not coming near that house, right? And then we would literally, at the end of the showing, we'd get back in the car and we'd say, okay, how's that look? And we'd figure out it didn't work. So I would crumple up the piece of paper and throw it in the back so that we're not going to deal with that anymore. But the point I'm making is I had to make myself vulnerable in a way, and for me, that worked for me to be able to say, I get how to help you through this. And then they became open enough to trust me, to hear what they were saying, but also trust me to feel what they were feeling. So that when we got back together the next day and I showed them more houses, they could say, hey, he's moving in the right direction. He heard us. And he's now showing us things more that both of us can sort of agree to. So anyway, just remember that process of SUV, because I think it really helps as you go into a conversation with somebody to study those people. I mean, gosh, you can Google, you can learn so much about people now. I was on a call yesterday with a couple of people I didn't really know. I'd gotten on Google. I knew a bunch of things about them. And so in the conversation, I would say, yeah, but didn't you go to such and such and whatever? And they realized that I had taken the time to get to know them a little bit, even though it was virtually. So anyway, Pat.
Thank you, Michael. Great information, Kate. I looked at the question not differently, but I took a trip down memory lane is how I approached the first question. So to give you a little background on myself, I've been doing the business 23 years, right out of college. I was 22 years old when I got in. I met Michael Guthrie probably when I had just turned 23. So I've known him quite some time. So I was young. I moved here from Chicago. I was quite desperate because I didn't know a single soul in the area. I liked food with my meals. So getting some money to not only pay the rent, but also eat was important. So I was willing to do anything and everything. So back when I started, I did some things that may sound archaic, or you may have to Google what they mean to some of the young folks on this call, but we had something called phone duty back in the day. So what I did is I approached all the folks in the office who didn't like phone duty. They didn't want to do it. And I offered to take all their time slots no matter where they were. So I think I had 4 times the amount of phone duty slots that other people got. And I felt I was at a huge advantage. And I sat up there, and me and the front receptionist got to know each other very well because I was always at the desk. And I loved Barbara. She was awesome. So I did that. I did a lot of open houses back in the day. I did rentals like you wouldn't believe. I mean, I would do rentals left and right. I put flyers in agents' mailboxes. I'll take any rental you want. My first year in the business, I did 24 rentals. And within the next 18 months, 15 of those people bought a house. So that's part of my success early on was I just did rentals, stayed in touch with folks, and those folks bought houses. And that's how I kind of got started and built my database. I shadowed agents. So Kate kind of touched on find peers that you respect and you want to emulate. So I found a lot of peers and I shadowed them. A good agent in my office, our top agent, she was willing to go to breakfast with me every other week or every third week. And I would just sit there and listen. And she was a great storyteller, and I would just listen to her stories. And we did breakfast for many, many years. We do wine now. And now our conversations is we both bitch and moan about different things. But back in the day, she would just tell her stories and I would just listen. And every so often she would ask me, what would you do? And I would get really nervous because I'm like, the great person's asking me, what would I do? And I would answer. And she would normally say, that's actually what I did. So I felt somehow along the way at breakfast, I was learning the business kind of thing. I also worked for an agent in my office. Her name was Carol. She was near retirement, but I worked for her in the afternoon and she was doing a lot of business. So it was practice for me. I didn't have, 10 deals on the books. I maybe had one or two. But Carol had 10 to 15 transactions and I used to process her cases and look at different things and ask questions. And I learned a lot because she was a lot more busy than I was. So I kind of accelerated my learning curve. Instead of learning 2 deals at a time, I learned my 2 deals plus her 10 to 15 deals. So I just, again, got immersed with the office, got immersed with people that I respected and thought they were doing a great business. And I just took a lot of different parts and pieces and kind of created my own business from the things that I really liked and the way things and systems that people were using. I got into Buffini because of an agent. She dragged me to this, this seminar thing and said, come, you're coming with me.
Come on, let's go.
And I went, and lo and behold, here I am. Probably it's going to be 20 years this November that I've been part of Buffini. So, so again, I just kind of, I was very desperate, was very hungry for the business. And I did a lot of crazy things, but at the time they seemed crazy, but looking back, that's really what kind of built up my foundation. I'm looking to make sure I don't have any other notes here. Rental, shadows, aid, phone duty. Yeah. So I think at the end of the day, for my advice today would be, don't be a secret agent. You've got this gift. You've got this license, the power to go out and help people. I would utilize it. I would tell your friends, tell your peers, tell people, at the hair salon, tell people that you interact with, tell your family, tell other agents that that you're in the business and you're looking to help people. Who do you know? And I think spreading that word is like wildfire, and that's what will ultimately build up your network and make you successful. So that's my 2 cents on that.
Awesome. Yeah. So you guys are successful. You guys are dealing with some of the same stuff that we're dealing with in regards to lack of inventory and crazy market and that kind of thing. How are you? How is your business adapting? How are you adapting into COVID-19? We just an example, Pat, and you guys can answer it a little bit this way too. We've talked about the fact that a number of these things are on hold right now because you're not in the office being able to, sort of schmooze with other folks and rub shoulders with other folks. And, the shadowing is harder because, you're going out, a lot of people are going out on their own to video a house or view a house, or, certainly if you're going out with some buyers, you may be driving your own car. And so, that's the whole point. You're not going to have somebody else in the car with you. So how do you go about, and how have you guys gone about adapting to this this crazy season we're in?
You want to go? You want me to?
I'll go. I'll say what I thought on this one. Obviously I've stayed positive. Thankfully I had a great, again, over the years of Buffini and doing different things for myself, I've got a great basis. It's not like, COVID hit and I went, oh crap, I need to start being positive today. I just kind of said I need to be more positive to get me through this.
I need to stay positive.
And I think what has helped me is embracing the fact that we are all in this together. The most unique thing about this whole situation is that there really isn't anyone who's protected or in this bubble where they're not affected by what's going on right now. You look back at different things that have happened in our history, and I don't know that you can really say that there's been one thing that has literally affected every human being on the face of the planet simultaneously. So I think having an understanding that, okay, we're all in this together, and really embrace, I've heard sayings like embrace the suck and embrace this and embrace this. But I think really I've told my kids that, you know what, guys, this isn't an ideal situation, but we need to make the most of what is in front of us with what we have, and, not put blinders on because it's in our face every day, but really stay positive. And that's what will help get us through this. From a business standpoint, we've just made changes. So again, we've changed the way we market our listings with different virtual tools that we've kind of had, but we haven't used for everything. So we've just kind of utilized more of that. And from a budget standpoint, it's been easy to spend more money on that stuff because other stuff's been taken away from me. I'm not doing client parties every quarter like I used to. I'm not traveling as much like I used to. So I've just moved money from one pot to other pots that need it more right now, is how I've kind of approached the higher cost for some of those things. Staying in touch, I've done a lot of Zoom meetings. I've done a lot of, I'm part of different groups where we all, and most are through agents throughout the country, where we just get on a call once a week or every other week, and we just try to champion each other and just keep each other, spirits high, and what are you doing, and just kind of counseling each other through this. And that's kind of helped a lot. So, I mean, again, it sounds easy, stay positive, but that's really been what has helped get me through, because I'm at home. My wife's still at work every day. Her job's essential in the sense that she's literally been going to work just like normal every day through this whole thing. And I've been the one home with the kids and the new puppy and, the laundry that looks at me and says, you could really do me right now. You have nothing else going on. You might as well throw a load in. So it's very easy to get distracted by all the stuff around me in the house. I'll tell you, early on, it was easier to go do the laundry than deal with COVID stuff in my business. Definitely 100%. There were days where I just went, okay, I can't do it today. No matter how much positivity I pump into myself, it's just not going to happen today. So I'm going to not shower. I'm not going to change, and I'm doing the laundry, and it is what it is, kind of thing. So I had those days. I think we all probably did. So, and I'm not afraid to admit it. So
I like the fact that ice cream sales have gone up significantly since COVID-19, but deodorant and shampoo has the revenue has gone down. So for sure. Kate, what would you say about that?
So thank you, Pat. Thanks, Michael. Yes. So how we adapt. So for me, at the very beginning of this, I was relatively silent because I was freaked out, and I couldn't reach out to my people because I was having a lot. I was freaked out. I was like, oh my gosh, and in so many different ways. And so I was silent, and I had to realize that it was important for me to get back into the mindset of 1989, which is when I started in real estate. And I got my license in March of '89. And in that summer, the Berlin Wall came down, Department of Defense cut spending and jobs. And we went into the first massive recession that I, as an adult, was influenced by professionally. And houses had been selling with billions of trillions of multiple offers, and all of a sudden nothing was selling. And so it was an interesting time to be a rookie. And I had a mantra of get up, get dressed, and go to work. Just get up, get dressed, and go to work every day. And I wasn't sure what was going to happen, but it was get up and get dressed and go to work. So that's what I redid in COVID, is I got up and I got dressed and I started to outreach. And what I began to do was mine my own self for clues about how I was responding to this so that I could reach out to my people in ways that maybe they were responding. And so I began to reach out in terms of video. And I am not tech savvy. So my videos are my iPhone, like far away, like, hi, I'm like closeted in my room because the people on the other side of the door that I live with, like they want to know what I'm doing and whatever. So, but it was to be in touch from where I was and explain and I realized that I'm a relational person. My care generally comes through in my message without me needing to amplify that. And so what I needed to amplify was my competency. And so I leaned very heavily into competency and data and the whole awareness that our homes are our biggest asset. They require our clearest thinking to make our best decisions. They are our biggest debts. And so I decided that fear sells news, and that's the source of most people's information. And I needed to be a voice of truth, which was some good news and some scary news that we would have to acknowledge as truth. So I leaned heavily into competency and giving people truthful information about some cool stuff, some not so cool stuff. And I did that by a few little videos. I did that by postcards in the USPS mail and also hand notes. And I'm also doing that with some visits, some stopping by with some visits. And I understand, and again, this goes back to understanding who you are. My message to my people is delivered by me and my personality. And that's who I am. And I'm not, it doesn't have to be for everybody. So reaching out, when you know where you are mentally, emotionally, you can reach out and help connect where other people are. So we're doing things like, I'm in the midst, so in case you didn't know, today is National Friendship Day, and Sunday is International Friendship Day. So this is friendship season. So I am visiting friends with these great homemade masks that are delightful, and my little bottles of Good Things Happen sanitizer, and my little note is, stay safe, stay well, we're in this together. It's a great time to visit people. They're findable. It's also a great time to visit people because you don't have to get close to them. You don't even have to have used your deodorant. They're never gonna know you're not that close. But you can find people. We do a baseball game every August. We're not doing our baseball game because we can't. August 12th is National Baseball Fan Day. And if you don't know these things, just go on to like weirdholidays.com. And like there's like Love Your Pet Day, then there's Love Your Dog Day, there's Love Your Cat Day, there's Love Your Pickle Day. I mean, there's all kinds of weird stuff you could do. But anyway, August 12th is National Baseball Fan Day. I went on Etsy. There's a guy that makes decals because you can't buy them online. They're sold out. We have these gorgeous Nats decals. We ordered Cracker Jacks, and we're going to go visit our people that aren't going to the game. And we're going to leave them a little bag of goodie on their doorstep because we can't get close. But my point is reach out. And when you understand how this works, it ends up pulling you through on the days when you're not feeling so great. You go and do something nice for somebody else. Sometimes that's the fuel that you needed to recognize your blessings and all the silver linings that this has brought us in spite of the challenges. The amazing silver linings of getting to know our kids better, or getting to know certain things, maybe getting to know ourselves better. Maybe not being able to hide in the busyness and the fast skim of the day, but having to come to grips with the things that you've not said to people, good or challenging, that end up giving you a richer relationship. Anyway.
That's really good stuff. And, quite honestly, I think that I know that's true for me. Here in Charlottesville, it's such a food rich community, lots of really cool restaurants. And, Matt's done this thing, Meals and Deals, back in the day, and they raised all sorts of money because we all made a commitment that we were going to go buy gift cards or get food or whatever. And so I just started going to Bodo's, which is, the place in Charlottesville for bagels. and they do curbside, and I just order, and then I just drive around Charlottesville on Saturday morning and drop photos off on people's porches. And then I text them. I sneak up, I skulk up. I don't want anybody to see me. I drop it off, and then I text them saying, "Hey, there's something on your front porch. Enjoy." And it's been amazing. One, to be able to support an establishment, but going back just to what Kate just said, that how it makes a difference. And then in my neighborhood, this is a really cool story. And Pat, this might be fun to do with your kids. They have created, although the unintended consequences of it may be not something you want to do. But friends of mine who's a financial planner, a bunch of you in Charlottesville know Gary Albert, started out as a State Farm insurance guy. Now he's more in the financial planning, and then he has a whole team around him doing all this other stuff. Well, anyway, he's got kids in my neighborhood, and everything was just driving them crazy. Well, they created a company, and it's called Seville Suites, Cville Suites.org or com or whatever. But he's got 3 kids, 12 and under, I think, maybe 3 or 4 kids. Anyway, they started out, they went and got a business entity. They got a website. He taught them this whole thing about creating this business. And then they went out and put this flyer out about the things that you can order from them: cookies, scones, homemade jam, chocolate syrup, all these kind of things. And so, of course, they put it in our box. And of course, Dottie and I bought a bunch of stuff. But what we did with it is we gave it away. We took it and did that. But tomorrow, I think it's tomorrow, my 12 neighbors that are closest to me are all going to get on their porch in the morning. I'm not even having to do it. These kids are going to drop these things off the porch, homemade chocolate syrup, homemade strawberry jam, with a note that says, "We're grateful to be your neighbors, the Guthries." And I know that, people are going to be appreciative of it. And we've supported these kids who are doing this thing. Now, Gary, the unintended consequences of, I think his wife is working her tail off in regards to, getting all this stuff together. And I mean, they're doing it, but she's helping them. And then Gary says he still can't get them to make their bed. They're all about the business and about, doing this, but the regular chores, forget it. They're still just in the same place they've always have. But I just share that with you because that's so easy to do. And it's $8 for me. It was $8 a neighbor, $4. I could have just done one, but I did them both. So anyway, I just think doing those kind of things, that when somebody gets ready to, think about putting their house on the market, there's an opportunity where they're going to reach out to us, and we all can come up with these neat little ideas. We're all in different communities, and we can figure that out. You guys kind of answered the third question already. When we think about, why building referrals long term, I think one of the reasons is because you've been able to really keep on going through COVID-19 because of your base, the people who trust you, the people who would continue to work with you, the people that find joy in referring you business. You both are great as far as handwritten notes. I know that, personally, from receiving them. But expand a little bit more in regards to the fact that you're this long into the business now, and how kind of starting from the beginning, you got to find the rentals, you got to find things that create revenue initially, but starting from the beginning of having this mindset that I really want to build my business so that people are referring themselves back to me or others, long term, why that's so important.
You want me to go first, Kate?
Oh, yeah.
So for me early on, it was, and Kate mentioned the find them, fleece them, forget them, or whatever that saying was. That's how the business can be if you're caught in the hamster wheel and you're running, trying to get the next deal to pay the bills. And I got frustrated with it very early on. I moved here from Chicago. I left my family. I had these great big promises of this life out here. And I'm like, if this is what I'm doing, I feel like a used car salesman and I can go back home. And I was getting very frustrated. So again, the whole idea when I met the Buffini system and heard about running your business by referral, I'm a very relational guy in the sense I went, okay, I can do it this way if I'm actually have a deeper purpose and I'm going to grow a relationship with these people long term. I feel a lot better about this business than I did early on. So for me, it's been great in the sense that I can meet folks and get deep with them on through the real estate transaction, but then be friends with them long term. I mean, some of my best friends have come from this business, and still to this day we travel. Well, when we could travel, we travel with them, and our kids play together, and we do things with them, and I call on them for great advice when I need it. So they've become these folks in my life that I wouldn't have had if I would have just found them, fleeced them, and forgot about them, kind of thing. So so for me, it's just changed my whole life, as well as, I guess, the benefit, secondary really, is that it's actually caused my business to do really, really well over the years and has made me successful. I ran my numbers this morning just to give you an idea. So the last 36 months, I track everything. 93% of the business I've done has come from either referral or repeat. And that's referral from our client database. That's referrals from agents. It's referrals from different business networks I'm part of, but 93% has come from it. 4.7s from farming. I do some geographic farming. And then the other 2.3% is either internet leads or blind. Someone just happened to somehow find me and I could never track who the heck they came from, kind of thing. So, and that's 7%. I'm sure I spend, if you look at it, you can spend a lot of money on that 7%. I'd rather spend a lot of money on, taking Cracker Jack to people's houses, or taking them to a baseball game, or buying them a Guinness on St. Patrick's Day. That's how I would rather do things than, spending money on a lead system that hopefully I'll get 7% of my business long term.
So let me just, for the fun of it, some of you have heard me talk about, we've talked about farming and doing it on a shoestring. And I've told you the stories about the fact that I used to create flyers, and then I would go out on early Saturday morning and put my flyers, insert my flyers into the real estate section of the Washington Post, so it looked
My
like
favorite Michael story, by the way.
paid to insert there. So Pat took me literally, and when he was back on the hamster wheel, he was working at Home Depot trying to get some extra money. And he came to me one day and said,
Office Depot.
Oh, excuse me, Office Depot. Anyway, he came to me and said, man, I got this great idea. I said, what's that? He said, I slid open all the for sale by owner kind of packages in the thing. I put my information in it. And I went, Pat, I don't know. He didn't get fired. But that's what we're talking about, is being creative, thinking outside the box, and making sure that people who are thinking about real estate have your information as soon as they possibly can when they go from passive to active. So anyway, Kate, what do you think?
Oh, I think you're spot on. And Pat too, same thing. I mean, what I realize is that building your business through referral, first of all, it's so much more comfortable. It's warm. I mean, like, go where the water's warm. Like, you don't need to step into the cold shower. Like, go where the water's warm. And in a sense, the business that is referred to you has an element of it being yours to lose. Now, most of our clients, even the ones that are referred to us, most of them are interviewing some other agent. And so it's rare that you get what I call the lay down listing, where you just walk in and you just lay the paper down and they just sign it. That's rare. But it really is yours to lose in a sense. And I think that when you're well referred, you have less chance of losing it if you show up. You, like the you that was referred, if that you shows up and that you listens to the person who's in your care, so that they can connect and understand why the person that referred them to you did that, then I think you can understand how they want to be served. And then you can also discern for your own self if you can serve them the way they want to be served, and if you're willing to. I mean, some people are just a royal pain in the rear, and it's just not it. It's just not it. It just is not it. And I am grateful for every referral. Same, I don't track my numbers quite as well as Pat, so I'm learning, Pat, but I'm not there yet. But we're at a very high 90s percentage rate of where our business comes from being referred business, repeat and referred business. And I think that once you have had a chance to discern if the referred person is a good person to work with or not, most of them are, but when they're not, the goal is to take exceptional care of the referral source and explain to them in non-judgmental terms why it didn't work out. So I think that that's a really important thing. I also think it's interesting in listening to you talk, Pat. Words are so incredibly important, and relational people use words and phrases that we all just tend to leak who we are. So Pat and I both, we talk about our folks. We don't talk about clients. We talk about our folks. And in a transaction, we refer to them as Linda and Bill. We don't say like my client, my seller. We talk about our folks. We also talk about our transactions. We don't talk about deals. We talk about our transactions. And so I think it's, again, it's important to understand, like, if you really like your people, then show it. And building this business through referrals by the things we do and going outside of what normal people do, you know, repurposing how we're staying in touch. And you're talking about the people that are like the kids that are doing the jelly and the jam. Because one of the things that I realized, I forgot to say this earlier, one of the things that we're probably doing about our baseball thing is, because I decided, I don't know if I can drive around and visit 120, it's about 127, 130 homes. So just last night I had this great idea, if I can do it, that I think I'm just going to get a hot dog truck to come. If I can figure out where the hot dog truck will come, then I can invite everybody to come and get their Cracker Jacks and their decals and buy a hot dog and pretend they're at the game. So anyway, it just takes a little bit of this. It takes a little bit of this, and it takes a tremendous amount of this.
Kate, the other thing too is depending on whether it's August 12th or 11th or whatever, if it's a you know, a day game, you could have a TV set up wherever the hot dog truck is.
Ah,
And people could social distance.
I'm writing that one down.
Yeah.
Good.
You know, they could social distance, you know, in their own little groups of people, and that would be a cool experience.
Oh, hell, excuse me, heck, I think we should just make fan day when there's a day game.
Exactly. That's what I was saying. Yeah.
Yeah, detail schmetails, you know, truth can be stretched when it needs.
You can just say National Fan Day was COVID out and has been rescheduled for April.
This is the Kate wrong. This is the Kate's National Fan Day. Yeah, heck of a dang calendar. Right, got it. Good. See what Synergy does? That's why you better do this every day, Michael. Okay.
Yeah. Guys, questions. You know, we've got a few minutes left. Feel free to ask questions. Come on, don't be bashful.
I just want to say it's so great to see John Wolford on this call. Great to see you.
I agree, John. Yeah.
It's so great to see you guys and hear you. That you're just outstanding. Just lifted my day. So glad I could be here with you.
John has been my wingman with the Synergy group that some of my agents asked me to set up. So it's been fun to we're together with that on a weekly basis. So.
And you guys should just keep coming back too, because you know what? I gain something every week from this. It is such a joy and a pleasure to be here. It really is. Thank you, Michael.
Yeah.
Thank you. And thank you for everybody for showing up. I mean, we all have a million things we could be doing and other places we could be diverting our attention and time and energy. But Synergy is a great way to go through life. Team, however team structure is for you, whether it's you and the support group you have or a partner or whatever. But certainly that's a lesson in life.
Go ahead, Julie.
No, I say this is good stuff. You know, we get busy doing our thing every day and we forget to take time to really engage our clients like we should and appreciate our clients. So you had my mind going 1,000 directions every time you spoke, and I'm like, I have to write this all down. Like I do some of this stuff. So I'm grateful for you guys. Thank you.
Oh, good.
Logan McKeithen, you've been, talking about this whole aspect of shadowing and trying to connect with agents. Um, ask, from that standpoint, what are you thinking after listening?
I think shadowing is a great idea. I think, just try to meet out in distance as best you can. And I think just for me, the video is my best friend now. So I just think I don't know, that's how I'm trying to stay in front of people. I think the rules have changed a little bit. It's definitely, definitely navigating something differently. As a new agent, I guess for me, just not even from a staying in touch kind of thing, I think I'm going to do another Loaves and Fishes outreach, because the more I'm reading in the news with the schools and everything, the more I realize that there is a need for that. So I don't know if others want to continue to do that, but that's just collecting food for a food bank, essentially.
Yeah, Vincent, write that down, because I think that's true. I think as we get into August, it's so easy to do. We did several of them, and they were so well received, and the neighbors appreciated it, and the food banks and the pantries appreciated it. So yeah, I think a second round of that, Logan, that's a great idea.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
And
Michael,
Kate and Pat, I'm not on the video, but this is Julie Ballard. I did Buffini, but starting and into everything and having my kids and dealing with COVID, it was a nice reminder of just the notes and the ideas of what we can do. And I think for me, I have a lot of friends that are super stressed out over what's going to happen with school coming up, virtual.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to do some type of care package for them. I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty right now with parents, especially working and trying to balance this. So it was a nice reminder. I've kind of gotten caught up with everything else just to get back to what I learned in Buffini, but to get new ideas. It was really helpful. Thank you so much.
Oh, well, good. And one of the things that I think is helpful, we talk a little bit about habits and attitude and skills. And certainly, if you can determine what your personal business standard is and create a habit around that, whether that's, one note a day or one phone call a day or whatever is the bare minimum that you're obligating your own self, committing your own self to do. And then leaning into the successes that we've had in our other lives. I mean, we've all been rookies in everything in life. We were rookies when we were learning how to walk, and we've been rookies when we became parents for the first time, or when we became pet owners for the first time, or when we, whatever. And so we were successful in different arenas in our lives, even if we don't have years of successful track record in real estate, we have years of successful track record in other things. And carrying that belief of our ability forward helps fuel us to do what we want to do to become who we can be.
Yeah, great. Laura.
Hi, everybody. I'm Laura. So Pat, now I figured out once you started mentioning Buffini, now I think I knew where I had heard your name before. And Kate, are you also a Buffini or whatever you call it?
Person? I've been with them for 20 years. It takes me a long time it's interesting. I would think that I would learn faster, but what I realize about me is it's like this ratcheting thing, and it takes me a long time to learn, and I ratchet slowly, but I never ratchet back. When I finally ratchet around, I'm ratcheted. And so staying adherent and constantly pouring this stuff in allows me to rotate and become, and so I'm revolving, but it's a long time, yes.
But giving her due, right, Pat? Laura, she's one of those folks who's got the big poster thing at some of the events where they've she's been with them long enough and been successful.
The poster child.
Yeah, she's one of the Buffini poster child. That's right.
Yeah. But that makes your heart race. When I walked into the room the first time, it was like, I was not expecting that.
And both of them were very helpful for me to, quite honestly, I'm on the broker advisory council for Buffini about, I don't know, 15 or 16 managers from around the country, and both of these guys have been, supportive of me, and so that gave me a little bit of extra credibility as I moved into those areas. Bubba, if you can talk, I'd love for you to just real quickly, just couple things that you picked up, but also talk about your Tuesday or Tuesday at 2 FaceTime Live thing that you're doing.
Sure. Sorry, I'm blank on the screen, but I'm not too pretty right now. So,
Get in line for that, brother.
Yeah, I know. Well, the Tuesdays at 2 thing was something that kind of morphed from I had started what we were going to do was like a quarterly seminar series that we were going to hold out myself with some people. I have a mortgage officer in my office who I had teamed with, along with an insurance person in our office and my broker, and we were going to do different themed seminars every quarter or so at different restaurants around town, but we were making them fun, relaxed. We'd buy everybody drinks. And the first one we did was a home buyer seminar. And, we had, only 2 couples show up, but we had a blast, and we knew there was some legs to it. And both those couples turned into clients for me. And one's already in a home that we just closed on this month. Which is great. But so we knew we had something there. And then when COVID hit, it kind of allowed us to expand it in a much easier platform, which was Facebook Live, which we really got honed in on through Vincent and Michael teaching us the tips on how to do it. And so every Tuesday, my loan officer and myself called it Keeping It Real Estate, Tuesdays at 2. With myself, and her name's Renee, and we have a guest every week. So we just do it for 15 minutes every Tuesday, 15 to 20. This week we had a home reno specialist on, a home reno loan specialist. And we just have a specialist every week, and then we'll just be her and I some weeks. But we get anywhere from, 300 to 1,000 views on a couple of them. And it's been great. I mean, I can't tell you that anything's really come from it hard, but it just expands our network and expands our reach and expands awareness for us. And it's been really cool. So we think the sky's the limit for us on it. And we've just been sticking with it. It's been great.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Good stuff. Colin. He doesn't look like he's muted. Yeah, for some reason.
Use the chat box, Colin.
Yeah. Anyway, there you go. There you are.
Okay, cool. Pat, I have a question for you directed kind of towards you. In our new agent synergy group, we talk a lot about kind of giving value to agents in our office, bigger agents. And I know Keller Williams is very team oriented, so I don't know if you've started a team yourself, but I'm in a team right now. So I'm kind of just wondering, what do you look for in team members when you're hiring them? And how would you suggest new agents to give value to agents that they're shadowing?
Great question.
I do run a team. I've had a team for many years. I had a business partner for a bunch of years as well. And we had a fairly good sized team. And again, I started with Long and Foster for about 11 years and then been with Keller since. I don't hire, so I don't have a big team. First of all, just to give you a little background, I have 2 agents and I have a full-time office manager who's licensed mainly for conversation purposes because she knows too much. So I don't necessarily go out and hire a bunch of agents unless the right talent were to fall into, my spectrum and it was the right time. So I just disclose that in the sense I don't have a large team and always hiring folks. I think that, someone who has a willingness to learn and to do the business obviously is something that I would obviously look for. I would also, I think there's folks who like to be in that team setting for the structure and for the, one of my guys, Kevin, he he could go do this himself tomorrow, but he likes having the structure. He likes having things taken care of for him, like, you know, having the office manager run things and the paperwork and all that stuff. And he just likes to go out and do business kind of thing. And he doesn't want to have to necessarily drive his own ship. And I like him for that, in the sense that he's pretty low maintenance. He knows the business very well. And I know that, you know, unless I goof something up, he's probably not going anywhere, and he's a long-term part of my business. So I'm dancing around the question in the sense of, I'm trying to think of the right advice to give you in this from, because I don't necessarily hire a lot of people.
I guess not even in terms of hiring people, but even just shadowing, like the agent.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Answer
that with. Yeah, just giving any sort of value to bigger agents in the office, even if you're not a team member of theirs, you know.
Oh, okay, so yeah,
Go
so
ahead.
I think, you know, obviously you got to find someone who's willing. You know, you don't want to, you know, beat your head against the wall. That's not fun. So if you find someone who's willing, I think, you know, offering them that I can help you with whatever you may not want to do, you know, because again, the more of that stuff, even though it may not be fun, it's not definitely not fun for them, but the more exposure to even that stuff that you get, you will learn a lot of things just through practice, and experience. So, you know, maybe they don't want to do a rental lead, or maybe they don't want a buyer lead, you know, outside of their normal market area. You know, your willingness to help them with those would be nice, because a lot of times when I get those things, it's good to have someone to go to, so you don't feel like, especially if it's a referral from a good client and it's like an area that you really don't service, but you really want to do a great job because it's one of your top referrers. So you want to have a solution for them. And sometimes you're not the best solution. So having that person to go to would always be nice for me and would add value to my perspective. Asking good questions. Don't call me every day and just ramble on and ask me a bunch of questions, because then I'm going to be like, okay, this isn't going well for me, kind of thing. But, you know, ask good questions, and not necessarily all the time or frequently. So Kate's got her hand up though.
And I was just going to say too, Colin, that I think a great way to add value to the time that the more senior agent is spending with you is to find ways to save them time. Time is such a precious commodity, and if you find ways to save them time, and as Pat said, you know, sometimes it's doing some of the tasks that they need to do that they would prefer not to do or aren't as valuable to them in time. It gives you an opportunity to learn things, but I so appreciate when folks are willing to volunteer to do something that saves me a little time, because I've spent some of my time helping them.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I want to be sensitive people. Go ahead, Barb.
I just had a comment for Kate. I got to hear you, Kate, a couple years ago when you were at our awards night, and
Oh yeah.
I was so impressed. You've been an inspiration, because I'd written you a note afterwards thanking you for coming, and you wrote me a note thanking me for my thank you note. So that was just a neat example of the power of writing notes and staying in touch with our clients and friends.
Oh, well, thank you, Barb. It's a joy for me. It is a source of joyful energy. My note writing time in the early morning of my day, it's an interesting fuel source for me. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being here today.
Let me end with this, and Logan raised her hand too, Kate, because I think you obviously did the same thing for her as well.
Yeah.
But let me just go back to something Kate said earlier, and a good place to kind of close this up. You know, there are days that we wake up and we're just discouraged. Whether it's you wake up and go, gosh, it's another day like it was yesterday, which was like the day before, which was like the day before, kind of thing. And I feel that, you know, Vincent and I were talking the other day, and he asked me a question, and I said, yeah, you know, the walls kind of, you know, start shrinking in. But here's what I hope we've all learned today, that when we're in that place, the best thing we can do is step out and serve somebody else. The best thing we can do. For me, I start my day with thinking, you know, about gratitude, about sending things out to people to encourage them, and And even when I wake up and I'm discouraged and I'm going, God, I'm just so tired of this. When I start doing that, and when I start thinking about, serving somebody else, doing something for somebody else, thinking about somebody that needs to be uplifted, it changes all of a sudden, I'm not discouraged anymore. Because and just like Kate said, and she starts writing those notes and they just lift up. I love go to the, you don't have to take a cold shower, go where the warm fuzzies are, right? And when you're writing those notes and, Barb, you and Logan telling Kate that it meant something to you, she's good now for another couple days of writing notes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because she knows it's had an impact on you guys, right? I mean, that's, the blog that I've started, when people, respond to that and say, man, what you're writing is really helpful to me. There are days that I wonder, is this worth it? And then somebody says something like that, and man, that's good for another couple weeks because somebody says that it meant something to them. So that's how, as far as building your business, find agents that are successful, see how you can help them, see how you can save them time, serve them, figure out ways that you can serve them, because when you do that, then something good will come back, right? And Logan talking about the Loaves and Fishes or the Blue Ridge Area Food Bank or whatever it is, you go out and serve that neighborhood in that way, and something good is going to come back from it. So, Pat, Kate, thank you guys so much for taking the time. This has been totally awesome.
Good. And we're here for you all. If there ever is anything we can do for you in the DC area, both Pat and I don't mean just for your referred clients, of course we're here for that, but also too, if you have a question about marketing, if you have a question about interpretation of something, reach out to us. I mean, we're all learning together still.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, guys, make it a great day.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Bye.